You get the message? How you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. I was going to spend a day in the shop once I finished getting it opened up. Been kind of an odd week again, but it seems like a regular thing now. I guess you could say an odd week is a regular week now, because it's only odd when it's not odd. That makes sense? That's kind of confusing. We're going to learn a thing or two. We're going to have some fun. We're going to fix a bunch of cars. We got the F150 buttoned up. We're just waiting to figure out if we can find a park neutral switch that actually works in park 2. Because if you look at the way that it's wired, the park and neutral on these F150s comes out of the same wire from the switch. And I literally have it in neutral and it starts. I can disconnect the shifter and put it in park and it doesn't start. And we put 2 neutral safeties, they both do the same thing. So if something's going on with the aftermarket parts, I'm guessing. But either way, hopefully it'll be busier today. What else we got going on out here? I think the Nissan hasn't been picked up yet. That'll get me over 30 hours for the week, won't be too bad. We're gonna make something happen today, I got a feeling. It's gonna be a good day. 68 degrees this morning. I had Boston blaring on the radio, and Joe's even here too, so we're all ready to go. Stay tuned. All right, 9:30. Time to see if we can get something done. I got a bog warner switch for that 91 Ford F-150. At least we got something to do finally. Been here an hour and a half. It's silly. I am glad to see the other guys working out because I worry about them, you know. I want them all to make good money. Let's get this thing starting in park. What do you say? If you haven't seen other videos, I'm sure most of you have, but this is going to be like the 6th video or so this poor truck's going to be in. Everything else is done. We just got to try to get it starting in park. Hopefully this will do it. This is the Bog Warner brand. Should be something special. I'm going to make sure the pins look the same, and we're going to give it a try. It's also marked for neutral. Let's see here, 2 8mm. Well, looks very similar. I don't want to get them mixed up though. Might even be the same exact part, just in a different box. It's hard to say. I'm going to get my my 9/16 and disconnect the linkage so I can move the shifter dead neutral. I got the sensors in neutral. I want to see if it goes on and the bolts are easier to get started. Alrighty. Listen here, you. I don't want any trouble. Had enough trouble already. That's park, reverse, neutral, right? So, come here a second. Let me show you something. Doesn't line up with the holes any better.
I can't get that on there.
What's that? Alright, little mortifications. That's what we got to do. I ran a drill bit through there because apparently we can't get the right part, or something's going on with the application. This transmission might not be the original. I don't know. I wouldn't think that a sensor like this would be so close to being right but not be right, but we're going to extremes. Oh, this is the one I cut the washer on last time, if you saw that, so it would clear the housing and let me move it more. So I want to put that back in the right place. The problem is I got to keep modifying this until I don't have to turn it at all, and I can leave it in that neutral position, and then it should work in park too. I think what's happening is, with it being slightly out of adjustment, it's catching a neutral and not park. That's the only thing I could think of that would be causing it. So I'm going to keep modifying it till I can get the bolts in without moving it. It's 10:30. They finally come up with something for me to do, an oil leak diag on a Mercedes. Alright, I got this modified quite a bit. Pretty good on the neutral thing. Not completely locked in, but definitely close enough to give it a try. This is the play in the shifter up top. So this is all the way up, but I don't want to go all the way. I want to leave a little play in it, so I'm come back down, put my adjustment on there. You can see all the different settings that have been tried, and nothing will get at this crank and park. So what happens is park and neutral come out of the same wire to let it know it's safe to let it crank, and for some reason we can't quite get the park side of the switch, and I'm hoping that those modifications will do it. If it doesn't, I don't know what to do really. I want to get this truck out so I have a halfway decent week and it's not total loss. Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad to see the guys busy doing brakes and axles. Even the oil change guys doing a brake job. Neutral, cranks, reverse, it doesn't. Let's try manipulating the shifter. Strangest thing ever. Maybe I gotta go more on my adjustment. I gotta hack that switch up a little more. I'm not giving up yet, but I am gonna look at that oil leak diag real quick. Maybe I can get an estimate going on that while I play with this. That's something bounced off the hood. It's a clean, pretty clean car in 2009 E350 Mercedes Euro luxury car. It's only got like 93,000 miles. But it's leaking oil. At least the customer said they saw oil in the driveway. Looks like it's got a new oil filter housing on. I wonder if this is the one I put one on. But it's bone dry. As far as I can see up top, we'll have to lift it up and look from underneath. Exhaust is pretty dry. There's definitely nothing gushing out anywhere. It was towed in. Let's lift it up and take a look underneath. Oh, love rating. All right, let me show you. Very clean inside too. It's like a 8 or a 9. I don't know what that foam is down on the floor, but I'm guessing that's Euro plastic or foam disintegration. Something like that. You can feel the armrests are giving up, but super clean car. 98,737 on the miles. Up in the air it goes. Just like that. I told you it'd be up in the air. Oh, I'm gonna take this cover off, I suppose. Funny is I don't see anything above it. Looking over it, it's hard to tell, but sometimes these things have like carpeting in here, so they put like an oil absorbent material, but the oil seeps out of it over time. So I'm guessing, I normally clean them off. You can't get them 100% spotless. The only way you can is to replace it. But I thought I mentioned to him that it might leave a drop here or a drop there because of that. In any event, I see a drop and a drop, but nothing tragic. It could be a new leak. Let's get it down and stop speculating. The speculators. Well, everything is dry above, so I'm gonna guess it's coming from that under tray. There's a tiny bit of dampness right here, but the drain plug's dry. That could be old news too. Let's clean it up and let it run a while. We'll clean it some more. Alright, we went through and did a re-cleaning of the under tray, make sure it wasn't what was dripping oil from last time, and clean that little drip I saw in the oil pan. And we're gonna let it run. See if anything drips after an hour or so. Oil's still full. Nothing on the engine's really wet. Kind of strange. But we'll see. Alright, it's been running a while. There's no drips anywhere. So it must have just been like in this frame or something like that. There's a tiny little bit here, like just leftovers.
No new leaks. Look at this one. That's old remnants too. I have to lower this down. I'll clean that up, put that back up. Nothing is leaking, just leftovers. Alright, I can't make any promises this one's going to go any better, but we're sure going to try. Ford Transit, 156,050 loving miles. Customer just did a tune-up and changed some coils for a misfire, but he says he still feels it misfiring. No check engine light. Tire light's on and an information light is on, which might mean the door's open. Tire pressures, I gotta check those. 49 and 71. 2016. Alright, let's hook up the Think car. Got this little door, it says OBD2's right here. Let's see if we get any codes. Yep, with our scanner, even though the light's not on, doesn't mean there's going to be no codes. This is a work vehicle too, by the way. Oh, $2. It's all yours if you want it. Finders keepers. Just a joke if you're new here. That'll happen from time to time. Get used to it. Enter. Let's get the monkey in the truck talking. See if we can come up with something productive today. It's almost 11:30. I don't think I've made $1 yet. Well, I made $2. Interesting day. Ford EV or Ford not EV? Ford not EV. Don't worry, I'll edit it down. It's going to look like it happened way quicker than it actually did. Automatically search. Yep. Loading the vehicle data. It's bad it's so slow. I want to work on the project truck, but if I start working on that, then normally what happens is I'll take my project vehicle or whatever I want to play with in my own car while I'm waiting for something to do. As soon as I start on it, there'll be something to do. So I tend to just not start on it. I don't really like doing that during the day anyway. I'm always hopeful that something to do is going to come in. When it's slow like this, some days you just take it on the chin and you know it's not going to be a very good day. I do have like 36 hours so far this week, so it's not a total write-off. Anyway, don't focus on that. Focus on the positive. Maybe this car will show us it's something else and we'll be able to take care of it for him, but right now it feels like it's running great. Yeah, I don't feel any misfire, but we'll see. All right, ABS data received from ECM is invalid. 6 systems found, 1 DTC. Let's take a look at the misfire data. I think this tool has an IDS style pattern that we can look at. If not, we'll grab the top down. I know that one does. But we're going to try to bring up some misfiring data and take a look, see what we see. I know the computer doesn't think anything's going on. And he's a pretty smart fella. We'll go special functions. Power balance. Oh, not relative compressive cancel. Power balance. Okay. There it is. IDS style screen. Now, if this has a bad misfire, these are the 6 cylinders. Each box is a cylinder. So if it has a misfire, this will be going down and it'll come up like this. See that little bump? But it'll do that consistently. If a cylinder is definitely misfiring every time, it's going to be like bup, 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 bup. Then you'll see a whole bunch of down arrows. And usually what happens is you'll get a down arrow and you get a slight up arrow in the next cylinder. Like I've explained before, the springing effect of the crankshaft, it slows down for a cylinder and it looks like it picks up extra speed on the next cylinder because it's recovering. So you'll see the little weird. These are nothing to worry about. This is perfectly normal. Sometimes the cylinder just doesn't hit quite as good as it normally would, or the sensor will show little tiny glitches as misfires. But if there's something going on when you rev it up especially. And for ignition coils, what I like to do is put it in gear. You load the ignition. What happens is cylinder pressure goes way up when you put the engine under a load. And if the cylinder pressure goes higher, then the spark energy required to fire the plug is higher. So it'll misfire more if it's ignition related. So let's power brake it a little bit. just for a few seconds. Yeah, it's rolling the vehicle against the brakes with no misfires. So these little, like I said too, these little individual occasional drops, if you have a good misfire, you're going to start seeing lots of these triangles coming down. There won't be any question. This looks good right now, so I'm going to record about a 5-second video, and then we'll stop it afterwards. Now I'm going to name it Transit. Oh, 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 ow! Oh, there's nothing to hook it on there either. Okay, that's how you want to be. I can do it that way. 16. That's all I wanted. I don't think I'm asking a lot. A little cooperation would be nice. Now I got a little video I can show. I'm not seeing misfires, even power braking it. So I'm not sure what he's talking about with his misfire complaint. Could be something else, like a vibration he's feeling. We'll have to take it for a drive and see that for ourselves, and we'll go from there. Some of those sandhill cranes, I haven't seen them in a while, but they got a baby. I'm not sure if the baby shows up. Oh, there she is. That's cute. Little baby sandhill crane. They're even big when they're babies. They always stay as family units, and they're protected, so you got to be real careful not to hit them in the road. It's expensive and it hurts the bird. I have seen them dead in the road though, which is real sad. But they're so protected that they don't have any fear. They'll just walk out on the highway, and you can walk up to them and they'll just kind of look at you like, what? I've actually gotten within a few feet of them, and then they'll just kind of walk away casually, like you don't bother them at all. They're like the cat version of birds, or the bird version of cats, however you want to look at it. Let's take this thing for a drive, stop flapping, see if I can feel something, and we'll come back. I'm not going to record while I'm driving too much. I did feel the steering wheel shake a little bit like a converter shutter, but it went away pretty quick. Right when it went into high gear and the converter locked up, the steering wheel went, something going on transmission related, probably. I'm catching up to this guy. If you hit the gas just right, you can make the steering wheel shake. So it might be what he's feeling, I'm not sure. Something definitely weird. I'm gonna look, these things have problems with the drive shafts coming apart and stuff too. We're gonna lift this up, look at the drive shaft. If not anything with that, then it's gonna be something internal in the transmission and a converter shutter. Look at this that he just pulled out in front of me and stops with his trailer in the road. I love Kissimmee. Everybody going around like Delegaff. All the lifts are tied up with AC checks and stuff, so I'm gonna get the creeper and roll around underneath it. See if I can look at that drive shaft. Definitely not setting any codes. Let's see if we got any new ones. It's got a pretty good drivetrain vibration. Someone's already taken the rubber biscuit off. Might have come from the factory without it, but I've done a couple of conversions on these. It's got that, they come with Mercedes style drive shaft insulators, and they come apart because these are work vehicles. They can't handle the load, I guess. So they have a conversion where you take them off. Ford generously sells it for only like 1,100 bucks. But it's either already been done or it came from the factory with that style. I forget the year cut off that they had those silly things in there. So it's some kind of a converter shutter deal. We can try a transmission flush if the customer wants. It may or may not do anything for them, but it's something you normally would try instead of just putting the transmission in. It's very slight for now, but it's starting. We got a oil leak and battery on a Ford Escape. Yay! I'm gonna park this one, talk to the guys up front about it, and we'll see if we go any further with it. Alright, 2019 Escape is airborne, and I stripped her naked, so we're gonna go ahead and figure out where it's emanating from. Transmission's leaking more in the engine. Kind of strange, but it is definitely a little damp here and there. Hard to say precisely where from without cleaning it all off and starting from scratch. It's got a little bit of an oil leak from the turbo. I see it could be coolant too. And that's oil. Drain plug just needs to be cleaned up probably. I think we changed the oil on it, but nothing terrible. Just a little bit of seepage from the... These all do this. I just did one of these repairs not long ago. If you saw, I put a oil feed line on it, on one. So it's probably a similar thing. It comes down the housing, and that's where you see that drip on the bolt, and then drip on the tube that goes back to the crankcase. Someone's done an oil pan gasket. The transmission's leaking though, and that looks like the case halves. So that's a serious deal there. I'm not sure which one they're concerned with more, but none of them are terrible leaks. Just a little bit of a drop here and there. We got to put an air filter and a battery in it too, which if you've done batteries on Escapes, they are big fun. Alright, we've cleaned off a lot of it. Not spotless, but all the oil remnants are off the transmission, the heavy stuff, and we got the oil remnants off the turbo. A tiny bit is normal, believe it or not. People don't like to hear that, but it is normal. It accumulates over time. Every once in a while you'll get a drip out of that little tube. Nothing to be alarmed about. So we'll run it a while. I think I'm going to put the battery and the air filter in, and that'll be done. Then we'll run it a little bit, see if we get some oil from the engine or trans first, and then we can put the cover back on once we identify that, pinpoint those locations. It's got a little bit of coolant leaking from the water pump too. I think that's an auxiliary water pump, and there's little traces of coolant, so they might be seeing that as well. I don't know if they did the oil change and spotted oil leaks, or if the customer asked, but we'll figure it out one way or another. This is a 2019, by the way, with 90,000 miles or so on it. We're about to put a battery in. If you have never done a battery on one of these Ford Escapes, it's quite an adventure. If you've been having a great day and you're the kind of person that likes you know, parasailing, roller coasters, bungee jumping, and Escape batteries, they're all kind of in the same category. Very exciting. The easiest way and the least stressful is take off the wiper cowl, but it takes longer. Since we got to put an air filter in it too, we might as well just pull the air box out, pull this lid off of here, and you can kind of get the battery to come out the front. You got to be careful because there's a sensor on the rear terminal and you don't want to break it. So once you pull it out a couple inches, you can get your hand in there to disconnect it. Fantastic work, but I guess there's not much you can do when the windshield's laid down at a 185-degree angle. You know, there's not much you can do with the battery, right? And the air filter itself it's a cylindrical device and held in with these 8s, and there's a lot of seams that you have to put the cover back on, and seams to trap the air filter. That's what holds it in. There's no clamp on it. It kind of pushes in place and sits in a seam. Very important to nail that, because they get unfiltered air otherwise. So let's get some tools and stop procrastinating. That's basically what I'm doing, because I'm afraid of roller coasters and Escape batteries. But I'm going to conquer my fears right here. You don't have to take that out of the way, but I like to. It's not the same size as the undercover Torques are, though. Where did I put that 8mm? I think what we'll do on this is use non-wobbly, just to find our bearings a little easier. It's already stripped. I don't know if I mentioned before some of these designs. Some of these designs are not only not friendly to the mechanic, but they're not friendly to the owner of the vehicle. Because like under trays with 30 screws and stuff, screws get lost every time it gets taken off. And I'm not going to say anyone's doing it on purpose. I'm just going to say it happens. And you know, it's same thing with this air filter box. This tool is way too powerful for what I do, but I don't keep it on max power when I put it back together. I either turn it down, or since I have a variable trigger, I'm very careful with it. That way you don't strip it out. Right. Too late. We're doing what we got to do over here. That one wasn't stripped, so one of the screws does hold it down. That's good. That's going to help us out.
it's held in. Perfect. Now I gotta take the lower piece out, and there's an arm that goes around the back. It's about that long, and they break. You know, it might be broken already. I don't know. I'm gonna try not to make it worse. That's what I'm saying. I got the air temp sensor discombobulated. You can see the plastic from the air filter. The last time it was tightened up, apparently. That's not gonna happen. That one's cracked. That's the only good one back there, the one that's hard to get to. Most of the time they're not tightened at all, so it doesn't strip out if you don't tighten it. You gotta pull these out, but we'll get to that in a minute, because this piece has to come off the front so you can slide it out of the battery box. You gotta have this out of the way first, and to do that, the clamp is way down there instead of up here, because you know, because tough cookies. That's basically I do love Chips Ahoy's, by the way. Could be silly the rest of the video. That's basically the vibe right now. Stay tuned. Now they made the air filter very complicated and silly, and then if you want to get the box out, just a rubber strap. It's easy. Let me see if I can get an 8mm chrome universal to get to that lower clamp. We'll see what we can do with that. Yeah, that's a 7. 8mm for the air filter box, 7mm for the air filter clamp. Here, come on, check it out. Oh, something good seemed to happen right there. Now you gotta pop this out of those rubber grommets without smashing your knuckles on any of the sharp plastic and stuff. Don't attempt this if you're not a trained expert, by the way. I can get out of my way and get like a pry bar in there and pop that out without breaking it. It's not broken yet. I don't think it is. Oh, look at that. It came out. That's nice. Oh, another one right there. This one back here now. We're out here. I really don't want to skin my knuckles if I can avoid it. Look at that. We kept it on. That's pretty cool. Everything's coming up roses today. A few more of these push guys. There you go. I don't know if the AutoZone Assassin would attempt this in the parking lot, but I'm not sure. I would probably recommend he doesn't, but I don't know. He's a pretty brave cat, from what M. Leeser tells me, that guy can do almost anything, or at least he can try to, and that's what's really important. Now you might say to yourself, always disconnect the negative first, but you can't get to it. You then disconnect the positive first. What do you think about that? Might not sound like a great idea, but I haven't had a problem doing it though. This is all plastic up here, so not the end of the world if you do touch it a little bit. Lift up and pop out of a little bracket. This one doesn't want to. There you go. See him in there? There's one over here too. And there it is. So we're going to get those next. Oh. One more of those, and they can slide the battery forward enough to get to the rear terminal. Look at that. It's easy. It is easy. I can see everything back there. Can't quite get to it yet. Let's see. See, there's a wire back here. See that guy? Now,
the cable is longer than that wire. So I always go in here.
What's up, Eddie?
How you doing, man?
Hey.
There you go. Connector is off. The sensor on the battery. Now the cable is long enough that I'll let you take it out. See that wire? If you forget about it, sometimes they'll break. And you also got to look, sometimes there's corrosion in here and you have to replace the connector if there is. Now it's a 10mm battery up. Boom, 0.4. And as the more experienced people might know, installation is the opposite of removal. If you don't believe me, look at almost any instruction manual. You also got to reverse all your ratchets and pliers and everything, get them working in the opposite direction, whatever it takes. I want to keep my sensor where I can get to it after I push the battery in. That should be good enough. Plug this guy back in. The last time I did it with taking the wiper cowl off. And like I said, that's the less stressful. It's a lot easier. It's more work, but you're not battling like I am in here like this, so it just feels a little easier to me, even though it takes longer. But this customer's waiting. I don't want them to wait. I don't want them to wait too long. I'm going to go to lunch soon, and then they'll be really sad. Whoop, you hear the throttle? Not even tight yet. We got a good connection. Push this back in. Oh, wait. Push this back in, and this back in. There's 4 of them. You gotta understand, this car's turbocharged, so you need things securely secured. Securely. Put the cover on there, it's just a matter of putting the airbox back in. What's the big deal? Holyfield. There's latches on this too. It's supposed to clip in place, but no one ever puts them back. Because they'll fumble around like I'm doing. And after about 5 minutes, they're like, all right, it's close enough. But believe it or not, when you just get it close, it does snap in place. And put this air filter back in here. You saw it came apart. What I'll probably do is put a little RTV in the holes. Before I put the cover on, I'll put some RTV. I'll snug them up and then let it dry. And then we'll fire it up, see if we get an oil drip. If it runs, you know, a half hour, 40 minutes, I don't see a single oil drip. They'll have to come back and we'll see where it's leaking before it makes such a big mess. I don't know if you can see that little foot down there, but the air filter has a tab, and the tab goes straight down into the slot. And you push it onto the back and then drop it down in the front, and it's got to go in the air filter box too. It's all slotted. Now for the tricky part, getting this so it's semi, well, honestly, as long as this stays in the bottom, it doesn't come out, then it will filter the air even with the cover loose. This is just really a cover, and this part holds it in place. So let's get a little RTV on there, and then we'll call this one ready to get checked for an oil leak after we put the master reservoir back. Time to fire this thing up. It's been running for a time. That was moisture or condensation from the AC, I guess. I don't see any drips except the condensation off the AC. Tiniest bit of dampness on that outlet hose from the turbo. Like I mentioned, that's pretty normal. You know, intake manifold, you ever look inside an intake, there's always a little bit of oil and stuff. That's combustion or intake reversion and things like that. Combustion gases have oil in them, so I'm thinking that's all that is. And the transmission hasn't done a peep of anything in the 15 minutes or so it's been running. So we may have to either take it for a couple drives ourselves or have the customer drive it for a few days or a week and bring it back. And then we'll see which one shows itself first. Definitely nothing to worry about. I don't see any concerns. It's my car, I'd rock it and just make sure I take a look once in a while underneath, every few weeks or so. Every single one of these plastic screws goes into a, well, these metal screws go into a plastic insert. They're all stripped. So I put a couple larger ones in that I had just because I don't want to fall off on the highway after I worked on it. You have to either replace those plastic inserts or get larger screws. Otherwise this thing's coming off and that's not a good look. I think we're done with it for now. I'm gonna take it for a drive, see if any more comes of it. I'll let you know. Well, that's not gonna work. I can put my finger in there among other things. That's crazy. Got bent suspension parts. Uh-oh. That is no bueno. Anytime you lower a car a lot, the front end always looks like this. I don't think you can lower a car and have it stay pretty on the bottom. All right, back to my nemesis. Apparently, this is a hope and a dream. This connector is an updated version. It's not what a 91 F150 comes with. This is what it comes with. And if you can see the wires where I have them, this is where they are right now. And this is where they were originally. And this is where they're supposed to be. Is that confusing? I know, it's confusing for me too. But we're gonna do the best we can. We're gonna row. And at this point, I got nothing to lose by trying to move the wires. I've already noted where they were. If I move them and it doesn't work, then we found something out at least. If I move them and it works, then this truck will go out on this week. So that'll be cool. So I don't know how this is possibly happening. If maybe the way these wires are, if they put them in the connector wrong at some point when they changed the sensor originally, we matched what they had and it fits the connector, but it wasn't wired right the whole time. Who knows? But I'm wondering if maybe like the backup light can somehow get enough ground to start neutral and not in park. I don't know. It's a long shot. I couldn't find anything showing me what this looks like on the inside, but I do have a description of what each wire is supposed to do, and it shows me where they go on this connector for this transmission, and that's not where they are. That's the bottom line. We're going to disassemble this connector. Some of the wiring installation's kind of sketched too. We could get a new connector and if we have to, but first I'm going to try moving the wires and seeing how that all goes. So let's set you up someplace cozy so we can hang out for a while. You want to pop a refreshing drink open of your choosing, alcoholic or non, I'm not going to judge either way. Whatever makes you happy. It's all we all want, a little bit of happiness. Everybody's way too angry. All right, should be able to release this red deal. Come on now. Get all silly on me. I'm trying to get somewhere here. Wow, look at those three wires not even in there all the way. Isn't that cool? That other sensor they got me came with a new connector. I'm gonna go grab that. Now this one, the latches should all be in better shape. Same process as the other side. This makes it so those tabs can't be pulled open by mistake. You only want them pulled open on purpose. I'm gonna rearrange them and put them in there the way it shows in this diagram, and we're gonna see what happens. And like I said too, I've got it written down, so. Red and light blue, which is our wire that's supposed to help it start. That goes in this upper corner. Doesn't want to go through this. I'm going to take this apart too. Might as well keep taking stuff apart. Got nothing to lose at this point. Take this piece of rubber out of here. Hoping it'll be easier to squeeze it through there. without it being squeezed around the outside by the connector body. We'll put a little dielectric grease. Not a lot, because I don't want Erico to get sad. He doesn't like seeing too much dielectric grease and stuff. Frankly, neither do I. It's used as a moisture barrier. It doesn't actually enhance the connection. It keeps the connection free from corrosion. That's going to go here. Now the weird part is, it flips over the other direction. And it did lock in. Hey man. The hill. Now the only problem is I forgot this piece, but it's on there. I get a different one on there. It's alright. I'm going to put these wires all in here one at a time. Light blue. Okay, gray, light blue, and black should go right up that connector dealio. The open end, the reason some of those are pulling out is because whoever rewired these, if you face it the wrong way, they don't lock in. If you face it this way, they lock in because of where the lock tabs happen to be. Of course, in all my chit chat, I don't remember which way it was now, but if I can pull it back out, I just flip it 180 degrees. So they got to face up. That won't pull out. And then light blue, yellow, and black. These don't all look the right colors, but they're close because they're faded and stuff. Last one. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but it got real tiring trying to feed each wire through each part one at a time. And they do go. The dielectric grease helps. I have to get some needle nose for that. And none of those will pull out. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. Hope that my head wasn't in the way the whole time. We'll find out in post. Let's see what this thing does. All of the power feeds are fused, so we're gonna be good even if this wasn't how it's supposed to be wired up. Don't forget your little red lock deal. You could run it without that, but it locks them in place so they won't accidentally push out as easy, if that makes sense. Part of me wants to see if the reverse lights will work now. I know we're on the right track if they work. Alright, let's put it back in park. See if it'll crank up. Even the windows work now. That might have worked before, I don't know. Well guys, what did we learn today? Don't assume that the wiring is right. I was certain that it had to be the switch because in park and neutral, one wire coming out of the switch lets it crank. So what I'm going to assume it was doing was I had the switch adjusted, where it was closer to reverse or something, although modifying it shouldn't have done that. I'm trying to wrap my head around how it could have happened, but assuming that it was pulling a circuit, a reverse circuit to let it start in neutral, but not park, because that circuit's only going to work in one position, right? I want to see if it starts in neutral too, just for kicks. Yep. That's good. I'm going to call this one fixed. I got to go let them know so I can get it on this week. I think that 69 Mustang's back. He's got like 5 more things he wants us to do now. You remember that one from last week, that pretty red one? I think he's saying something about a shimmy at 40 miles an hour. It starts in any gear instead of only park and neutral. And a couple other things, but we'll see. I don't know if we'll get to that today. We might tinker with it a little bit. Oh yeah, the old Mustang, back home where it belongs. You guys know how much I love Mustangs. It was almost my first car as a kid, but they were 3 times as much money as a Firebird or a Camaro. So that's how I've been a GM man ever since. I remember my friends working on my friends' Mustangs with them, and the distributor's right in front. I'm like, oh wow, that is so cool. But I always thought they felt like they don't really quite handle that good. To me, they just felt lighter, which I guess is good if you want to race and stuff. But I like the GM feel, if that makes sense, better. And then I saw doing a water pump on a Ford versus a Chevy, and I was like, I'm a GM man, that's it. Which is kind of silly, but that's how it worked. You guys might remember this car if you've been watching the videos more than a week or two. Now we're gonna do electrical starts. Turn signals are not working. Gas tank smells when he fills it. Driving over 40, it sways. It starts in any gear, and a brake flush. Why he wants to do a brake flush, I don't know. It's got all new brake parts, but that's okay. I'm here to oblige. We're gonna just look around tonight. It's getting late. We'll be closing in about 10-15 minutes. But I can lift it up, look at the front end, and look at his gas tank, see if there's something wet back there. Uh-oh. Sending unit's leaking. Sometimes it's the gasket, they dry rot. Especially with modern alcohol in the fuels, you have to have materials that are compatible. So we may have to do R&R sending unit. I've even seen them leak around these solder joints. Yeah, that leak's coming from the sending unit itself. See how it is around the weld solder there? And then on the right side, it's leaking from the O-ring. And they're not expensive. I would just get one, put it in with a new O-ring, new pieces of rubber. Front tires are kind of sketch. I gotta be careful too. I gotta let it down and move it on these springs, because these rear lift arms don't have any safeties. So if it pops off the spring, it might pop out from under the car, and then it'll be a YouTube video. This thing will have no power. Oh, it has power steering. It has power steering, but it doesn't have. These usually have a power steering valve down here. This has a power steering box. That's like an aftermarket box, and it's leaking. Usually it mounts to here, and it comes across here, and there's hoses going to it from the pump. This way is cleaner, but it could also cause aftermarket hot rod stuff problems. It's got some pretty good inner edge wear, which I don't know if I've ever even lifted this before. It's going to need tires, alignment. I know why it sways. It's got a pretty hefty anti-roll bar on it. Everything else looks pretty good. 4 piston calipers, that's unusual. That must be factory? You Ford guys know these Ford calipers? I know the early cars, they all had 4 piston calipers, and the caliper body was frozen in place or bolted in place, and the pistons all floated. And like I mentioned on that GTO, my 68 GTO had factory disc brakes, and they always leaked. I replaced them, and like a year later they were leaking again. Anyway, I'm gonna write a little list on this thing. The biggest thing is the fuel leak. These tires and an alignment, and we might be in the ballpark after that. Let's make a list and we'll see what happens. Another thing you guys might remember this? I think this is the neutral safety deal, and someone bypassed it so it would start in any gear. So I'm going to disconnect it, connect this, and see if it starts at all. Someone might have bypassed it because the neutral safety is bad. I looked underneath, it's all hooked up. It looks factory original. So all we can do is try. This is not supposed to be there, and this must the blue. Ford likes the red with light blue for activating the starter solenoid. Let's do it. 3/8, I think. All right. Let's see what happens with that. Now it doesn't start in any gear. So we got to investigate that park neutral switch next week, I think. Could be anything from a ground missing, something like that. Could be anything from an engine ground missing. We'll have to check all that out. We're not going to do that today though. But I am going to thank you guys for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Another short and sweet day. If the F-150 doesn't go, it's going to be not a very good week, but that's all right. We got some stuff done. We helped some people out. We made a little money. Probably keep the lights on with that. Torque the like button before you head out if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new here and you haven't yet. Where you been? Let's look forward to a great weekend. Hope I see you in the next video. You're awesome.